Hello, welcome or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz, and I will be guiding you on this journey today. This is a reading for Capricorn, wherever Capricorn is in your chart. I hope that you're doing well. If you had a chance to check out the human design profile readings this last round, I went on a rant about no longer editing videos at all because CapCut changed their terms of service. So, yeah, I don't know. I still feel uncomfortable with it, which is why I'm even mentioning it, because I'm having a hard time not judging myself. So I figured, like, if I judge myself first, then I'll like beat somebody else to the punch before they judge me. I'm like, yeah, I already know. But anyway, basically, like, the readings are going to go from camera to YouTube. There's nothing is going to be edited out. So if my dog is freaking out, if I'm just sitting here staring at the cards because it takes a minute to get words from my consciousness to my mouth, um, all of that is going to be in here. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that after this round of readings, I'm planning on doing the profile readings also, but I'm really not sure if I don't know. Every time I say that, I get like, I keep hearing like, yeah, you'll do them. Okay. Anyway, I am going to take a break for at least a month or two. After that, it may very well be permanent. I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of like got hit in the gut with that feeling. Literally yesterday. I'm doing these readings on Sunday. I think they'll probably come out, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday. But because, yeah, I don't, this is the only consistent thing I've done for the last 3 years except for breathe. And I just have not experienced the growth that I was hoping to experience by this point. And not that I don't think that it's a failure by any means. I love doing these readings, and I think that makes it a success in and of itself. But also at the same time, I do want the channel to grow. There's still like some videos that I'm getting like less than 5 views on. So I don't know, it's got to be me, I guess. So I also, like, I started EMDR therapy a couple weeks ago. I've had 2 sessions of actual EMDR therapy, and they have been amazing. But also like very heavy, and I have felt very pretty fragile. So I think I need to kind of, just give myself a little extra love and attention as I'm, kind of at least starting off with this. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just take a break until I feel the call to come back. I don't know. I don't know. But if it does end up being permanent, I'm sure I'll probably post something saying that. Sorry, hang on. I've been trying to put titles on these videos, and if I don't do it at the time, if I don't write something down at the time that I do the reading, then I'll like completely forget. We have the 3 of Cups, We have the Nine of Swords. I don't know why I keep feeling like these need to be changed. What else for Capricorn? Okay. Ah. Nine of Swords, Three of Cups, the Sun, Four of Pentacles, and the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. The Nine of Swords says we all get a bit carried away with our worries sometimes. I mean, this is truly like the card of, you know, what's keeping you up at night. It's 3 a.m. She's laying there with her eyes open. You know, there's all these swords above her head too, which, you know, just kind of symbolizes the anxious thoughts, or just, you know, your brain not shutting up. Like, you know how your brain just waits until the middle of the night to like share all of the thoughts it had all day? Or it's one of those things too of like, what's that saying? Like, if you're anxious, you're living too far in the future. If you are fearful, you're living in the past. So either way, I mean, this card talks about both, you know. Swords have to do with our mind and our mindset, our beliefs, truth, honesty, our perspective on things, ideas. I also see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's generally where we tend to hear our ego, is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, feelings. It becomes our belief system, the reasons why we don't and do most things, right? It's the literal perspective that we have of ourselves and of our lives is filtered through our ego. So yeah, it's like, what is keeping you up at night? What is the thing that's like cycling through your mind that you're worried about? And is it something that needs your attention, or is it like a nervous system dysregulation thing? Because it's like one of those things of like, the holistic psychologist had this post one time that said, like, if you're feeling bored, that is a sign that your nervous system is regulated. Because, right, like, most of us have lived in survival mode, fight, flight, or freeze, you know, like for such an extended period of time that that's what we believe our normal vibration or energy to be. So it's like, you know, we'll create things to worry about, or just to like get on the hamster wheel about, just so we're like still in that same nervous system, you know, like response. The book says, why has this witch been staring at her ceiling all night? She keeps playing and replaying her what if scenarios. Now she'll only be getting a few hours of sleep, so she'll be a zombie tomorrow. If you find this at all relatable, then this card comes to you with a comforting energy. Most of our fears are unfounded, and never actually happen. But it would be dishonest to say they never happen at all. Even if it turns out that your worries were for a good reason, know that everything will be okay. You will get through this just like you've gotten through everything before. There's nothing you can do to control it, so you might as well shut your eyes and try to get some sleep. And that's also, it's one thing to like try to intuit like all of the what ifs, right? And generally, especially with this card, we're thinking about like all of the negative what ifs, right? And it is like a way of protecting ourselves, right? Like wanting to try to figure out of all the ways that things can go wrong so you're not like blindsided. But also, like we never really consider like all of the ways that something can go right. Like, well, what if it turns out exactly how I want it to, Um, and too, it's like that there's that other saying, like your anxiety is lying to you. It truly is a made up, scenario. And don't get me wrong, like I I recognize that like my brain just needs something to chew on sometimes, and it doesn't necessarily like to chew on positive things. It's again, even just a nervous system or vagal nerve, like whatever, that the norm for me is to create that type of response in my body, because your body doesn't actually know that it's not happening, right? Your body's not like, oh, this is just happening in the mind, right? Which is interesting, so like I said, I've been I've done 2 EMDR sessions already, right? And I was telling the therapist that I actually like I have a really hard time recalling specific memories, but I have these feelings like in my body, right, which is why I even ended up at EMDR in the first place, was because I got to this point where I'm like, logically, intellectually, like I have worked through a lot of, most of, whatever, my stuff. I can intellectually understand what happened, right? But in my body though, like I can't figure out how to get past the feeling. Like, I can tell myself, okay, this is what's happening. This is why I feel triggered or activated or whatever, right? But my body will literally not move, either physically or metaphorically, right? Like just it goes into freeze mode. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I was telling the therapist, like, I told her that too, but I was like, because with EMDR, like you kind of have to go back into a specific memory so that you can be back into the feeling, right? And I'm like, of course I'm being super hard on myself about not being able to recall specific memories and just being like, oh my god, like this isn't gonna work, like this is my like last chance, or this is like my only hope of like healing the feeling, like the body stuff, and I can't even recall a memory, so it's not even gonna work, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, like that's normal, like your brain that is designed to protect you from memories that were traumatizing or highly intense, or whatever. But your body doesn't know that, right? Like your body doesn't have a way of protecting you from those feelings. Like the brain can just block out a memory, but your body still feels it. It's like the body keeps the score, that book, right? So anyway, tangent, but all of that is to say, right? Like your body doesn't know that what is happening in your brain isn't actually happening in reality. It's just you're thinking about, like, you're creating this scenario that is then causing a visceral, reaction, like, within your body. And it's interesting we have the Three of Cups, because it says come together with your coven. This could even be like seeking support from friends. Because I mean the Three of Cups is literally the friendship card. Support from others, right? I mean, we have all these people here that are, they're sharing cake and coffee. So, maybe it is just reaching out for support and sharing, because that's the other thing too with the Nine of Swords. Like, it has the capacity to snowball in your head until you get it out. So it's like, if you share it with other people, if you say it with other people, it kind of takes its power away. And two, they could even help you, like, reframe those thoughts. I mean, maybe your concern has to do with your friendships. Maybe you are concerned that you don't have support, or you don't have people that you can turn to. Again, your anxiety is lying to you, though. And this is an act of vulnerability here too, which I don't know how well Capricorn does with vulnerability. Maybe surprise people, you know? Because I'm with this card even being here, like, there is support. And not only that, there are people who want to support. And then we have the Sun card next, which says, give yourself permission to experience joy. I mean, what a difference from the Sun card to the Nine of Swords, right? Like, the difference in energy here. It's, again, even this is even the reframing that I was talking about. Because even, like, the book says, right? Like, sure, could some of those things that you're worried about come true? Absolutely. Is it anything that you can't handle? No. Have you been through worse? Probably. And it's also like one of those things of it's like making the decision to approach something from anxiety to where it just feels terrible. It feels like torture. It's not fun. Or on the other side, you could be like, yeah, that is a possibility, but I'm gonna try to experience this from a place of joy. I'm gonna try to be excited about it, and I'm gonna not give these things energy. I'm gonna look forward to connecting with people, and maybe that's where the anxiety is coming from, is the connecting with other people in whatever capacity that is. Like getting involved in a community, seeing family and friends that you haven't seen in forever, or whatever the case may be with that. whatever it is going to be, the Sun card is like it's going to turn out just fine. I love that. We have the Four of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, which says treat yourself to something shiny every now and again. The Four of Pentacles is the start of that lack and scarcity mindset that puts us into the Five of Pentacles. You know, it's holding on to things too tight, not to mention it's an earth card. You're an earth sign. So it's again about like even being like too closed off or too closed up, not letting people in, not letting anything in. You know, it's like the armor being too armored. And just, you know, kind of loosening your grip a little bit. This is also too about like budgeting and discipline. You know, not just kind of blowing it and just, you know, going too far in the opposite direction. But it is like, again, you know, like treat yourself to something shiny every now and again. Like allow yourself to be vulnerable, allow other people to support you, probably in ways that like you support them as well. The Chariot card, which is Cancer, your opposite sign, right? Which is vulnerable and like nurturing and all of those things, which is why it's like a good counterpart for Capricorn. It says you'll never get anywhere if you keep standing still. It says movement forward. I love that. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon-ish. Bye.